So I decided to do this video to kind of cheer me up today because you'll see in a video that I'm currently uploading now what happened today. So it's been kind of a crazy day, and I've made it a point to really tell people like this channel that I'm doing. I'm not really doing it for views, and I'm not doing it for people to watch. If they do, I'm trying to get it to where it helps them. Now, I have been diagnosed with depression, and I think a lot of people have, and I think people handle it differently every single time. And so, my video that I make are journal entries to try to cheer me up and make me laugh, and to kind of explain, like, try to focus on the good things that I did have in my life and the fun times I did have in my life. So, with this video, I'm kind of doing it. Hopefully, it cheers me up. So this one is going to be about my greatest wrestling injuries that we had. Now that I had, I could do an hours of video on just like honestly just on all of our injuries. I really could. So this is sorry. I should turn that down. That's I have the Avengers playing in the background. The great thing about Disney Plus is all these movies are just on demand, except for like The Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man's. But I can just have these movies constantly playing in the background, and then The Simpsons as well. So it's really good stuff. Anyways, so a lot of you know, like New Omega Wrestling, that was the group I was a part of. It was really just us being idiots. I mean, that's the nicest way I can say it. And in the beginning, we didn't have a ring. Now later we did get a ring. It wasn't an actual pro wrestling ring. It was one that they made themselves. Now how they actually figured that out, I don't know. I think they just because I know YouTube and wasn't really a thing. I think what he told me that is they just literally looked it up and they kind of just did it. So in the beginning, they just literally had mattresses and pieces of foam that they found. I don't know where they found these mattresses. I don't really want to know where they found these mattresses. I just remember that we put a tarp over it so that when it rained, but I mean, thank God it was in California, so it didn't rain that much. So we just did that. Well, now these mattresses are all meeting in the center, right? So the corners are touching each other. And the thing is, like, in the center of it is a hole because it's not all connected. Like they're just kind of pushed together. Well, for me, my first wrestling move that I ever like my finisher, because like a lot of people may not know this about pro wrestling, is in a wrestling match, wrestlers have finishers. It's like the final move that they're going to use to really knock the person out and get them down for a 3 count, right? Like John Cena has the attitude adjustment, and then Randy Orton has the RKO. Like I think we all have seen those videos and memes of an RKO out of nowhere. And so for me, mine was the Stone Cold Stunner. Now I stole the Stone Cold Stunner from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was my hero. He helped me through a lot of things. Pro wrestling itself was really helpful for me. The main reason why I say that, and I will get back to the injuries, is pro wrestling was always constant. Like it still is. Like I know it's going to be on every Monday night. I know it's going to be on every Friday night, and I know there's usually going to be a pay-per-view once a month. Like I knew that, right? So I think that's why I really loved wrestling, and it was entertaining. Now it's not so much, but it's a whole nother story. So with me doing the Stone Cold Stunner, like a lot of you just look it up on videos to see what a Stone Cold Stunner is. But the main thing is you get a person's head right here, and you go down, and you land like butt first, right? Well, guess where I land? So I land right where the hole is, where all these 4 mattresses and pieces of foam are touching. Well, now I hit, and my tailbone hits. It hits so hard that I lose all feeling in my body. Like, all feeling. To the point that I legitimately yelled in the match. I said, "What the?" And I'll just leave it to the imagination what you guys think I said, right? And when that happens, I completely lose. I completely lose all feeling in my body. I could not feel a thing. The lights were on, but nobody was home. And during this match, after I did the center, I was supposed to pin my opponent, and win. Well, now my opponent is laying there. I'm just laying there, and you can just see like Sean in the background getting mad, like mad, because the match isn't ending. We're just laying there like a bunch of idiots. So I think he thinks like, oh, we're going in this on our own. Like we're not listening to him. No, I'm legitimately, I can't move. It felt like a shot of lightning went up my tailbone, and I couldn't feel anything at all. And so finally, like my opponent just gets up, like like what the heck's going on, right? And he picks me up and he looks at me and goes, "Dude, get up." I said, "I can't move." He's like, "What do you mean you can't move?" And he goes, "I can't move," you know. So my buddy, I think Mike Falcon, comes out to the ring to kind of distract it, to kind of make it look like, oh, he's interfering, because me and Falcon, like as if you watched the previous video, were part of a group, right? And it was really to distract the fact that I'm legitimately injured. And that was probably one of the worst I've ever had. The next one that was really, really gnarly, one of my matches, it was me versus A-Rock versus Mike Falcon in a triple threat match for the IC title. And for me, I took a chair shot, but the chair shot that I took was Mike Falcon threw it in the air and he drop kicked it. And he kicked it to my face. So the chair, so he throws it in the air, the chair's right here, and he times it to where he drop kicks the chair, and I'm right here, and the chair goes, doosh. Well, at that time, I'm not ready to protect myself. So it knocks me for a loop to the point that I'm standing there, and you can just see me, I'm hanging on like that. Because it hit me so hard that it just knocked me out because I wasn't ready for it. You know, usually with chair shots, you prepare for it. I wasn't ready this time. So it knocked me the hell out, right? The other one, and this one's probably, so in one match, I got, I believe it was, I got almost knocked out about 3 times. So I think what happened in the beginning, I got a concussion. Now, what it was there was a match between me and Chris Reckless. Now, Chris Reckless, nice guy, very, very cool individual. Like, him and Matt Zion still run a YouTube channel called Reckless Eating, and I'm very proud to how much success it's had, you know, because it's really funny. I mean, it's just stuff they talk about is ridiculous. But, so, he's about 6'4", and he's probably about 330 pounds. He's a big boy. And they're establishing him as a monster, and they're trying to establish me as a baby face, as a good guy, and very sympathetic. Well, me and him are going over the match, and he's telling me, well, hey, Chris, you know, I want to do a power bomb, and I want to do this. And I said, dude, are you able to pick me up? Like, I'm a big dude, you know? There's like, are you sure you're going to be able to pick me up? Shouldn't even asked him. Picked me up like it was nothing. Just completely nothing. So he picks me up for a move. And before the power bomb, it was this move. He put me on his shoulders. And it was kind of like an attitude adjustment that you would see John Cena, so where he would flip me down and I would just land. I was supposed to just land on my back. Well, he didn't do the move right. And it's not his fault, you know. I mean, but I land on the ground. Well, his whole body weight lands on top of my head. And I just remember the force of his whole body hitting my head and the force of me hitting this ring. Because now we actually had a real ring. And the ring that we had was just a bunch of old tires underneath. Like, it was just stacks of tires with plywood and they put a tarp on it, and that's it. So there is really no give to it. So I'm already hitting hard my head, and he hits me with his whole body weight. I just remember I was out. I was knocked out. I don't really remember the match. The only reason why I can retell this story is because after every wrestling event, we would go over to somebody's house and we would rewatch the event because it was kind of like our coaching sessions. Like, oh, you could have done this better. You could have done that better. You could have done this better. And that's what we were doing. And so the next thing he does is he picks me up for a power bomb. Now, I don't recall what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. I am so scared, it's ridiculous because I have no idea. I don't even remember anything. All I remember now is he pulled me up for a power bomb, and he pulled me up so fast that the air hit me, and it kind of made me snap out of it, right? Now, with the power bomb, you're supposed to try to land a person on their shoulder blades, and you're trying to protect their head and their neck. Well, I'm not ready, and he's going so fast with this move that he drops me straight down on my head. And I still remember when we watched the video, you can just see my head, and you actually can hear the commentator goes, "Holy," like that, because they knew I was knocked out again. And I even said, like, "What the hell? Where am I?" Because the air hit me so fast that it kind of made me snap out of it. Well, now I'm down, and they have to like get me out of the match because there was actually Ramel was in this match too, but I really don't know what he was doing. It's kind of Ramel's career. I'm sorry, Ramel was a good guy. I shouldn't have said that, but so finally, like, they're like, okay, well, we got to get Duke out of there, right? And they kind of Reckless is like rolling me out of the ring, right? Well, we're still outside. This is such a bad timing. Reckless kicks me out so hard that now I fall out of the ring and I land on the hard floor, which is just the ground outside. Well, guess where my head hits? I hit a rock. So now I'm more concussed and everything else. Apparently, I did get back in the match. I do not remember doing that. And according to Reckless, I legitimately punched him in the face so hard that it knocked him for a loop, and he got pissed, and he threw me again as hard as he could into our metal ring post, and that knocked me out completely to the point that I didn't move the rest of the match. And that was probably my worst injuries that I ever had in wrestling. It was to the point that apparently I got up myself, I walked into the back, and then I just flopped to the ground. And I don't really remember after that. My buddy said that he took me home, and we're a bunch of dumb 20-year-olds, so we didn't really think about it. My buddy let me go to sleep. Concussion. He let me go to sleep. And apparently I slept the whole day, woke up in the middle of the night, and I told my buddy, because he was a night owl, I said, "Dude, what happened to me?" He goes, "Oh, man, I was just about to take you to the hospital." And I was like, "Well, how long have I been out?" And he goes, "Oh, the whole day and everything else. But you kept breathing, so I thought you were cool. But it's like 1 a.m. now the next day. So it's almost 2 days straight that I slept." And he's like, "So I figured, if he doesn't wake up by the morning, I'll take him to the hospital." I was like, what the hell, dude? But everything's okay. I will say this. That injury, I think, did a lot of damage to me. Especially now with all the studies coming out with concussions. And then I kept wrestling. I kept doing more hardcore matches. I kept getting hit in the head and everything else. I think it really did do a lot of damage. For a lot of you that know that, the tragedy with Chris Benoit and what he did to his family, just from all the hits to the head, of what happened to Eddie Guerrero, and there's a lot of what happened to Chris Candido. Like Mike Awesome, they all went through manic depression, Everything else from getting with the head, it psychologically screwed him up to the point that they took their lives. Chris Benoit was the most disgusting, tragic thing you'll ever see. It's not only did he take his life, he took the life of his wife and his innocent children. And I've never done that, but I will say this: my suicidal thoughts have gotten worse because of all those hits to the head, and on top of whatever happened between me and my father, on top of that, and my PTSD working at the prison as well. It has made it worse. There are studies that brought it out that this is what happens when you get hit in the head too many times. And football players go through it too, and pretty much any professional sport. So those are some of my greatest injuries, but also it's a very scary time because I will say this to anybody. If you're suicidal at all, please seek help. If there's nobody you can trust, please call the suicide hotline. Please call that. If there is family and friends, please call them. And I will say this to family and friends. I know dealing with that stress and trying to be there for them is hard. I know sometimes you just look at it as like, oh, this is unnecessary stress I don't need. Be there for the ones that really need it. Because it's even worse when you don't have anybody around. And that's what happened now. And I keep going back to this, this child that I was, this kid that I was around and helping for a long time, she knew my suicidal thoughts. And I unfortunately pushed her away because I didn't believe this kid cared. I believed like they just wanted my money and everything else. And it was part of my problem. So I will say this to anybody who has that feeling. If you are going to have your friends be there for you and go on this journey, friends, be an open heart, be an open mind. Don't give up on them. Please don't give up on them. Because it hurts, because I feel like I'm on my own right now. And this one child that I care about so much, I have nothing right now. And I haven't talked to them. And it's even worse now, to the point that I struggle with it every single day. But I'm going through therapy. And I figured it out, how to get the money for it and everything else. And just do whatever you can. And people, please don't give up on the ones that need that help. Because I will tell you right now, it is the worst feeling. All those injuries, I go through again and again to not feel this way and to talk to and have that positivity back. Because I'll tell you right now, your friends can't take away your negativity, but therapy can. And you have to seek that out. So with that, guys, if anybody watches this, things will get better. Take it one day at a time. And to my daughter, forgive me. I'm not asking you to excuse what I said and how I acted, but try to understand. And I should have never taken you for granted of how much you cared and how much you loved me. It's my biggest regret. Love you to death.